Welcome to CEO Growth Talks. I'm your host, Angus Robertson, and our topic today is account-based selling. Yes, selling, not marketing. And we'll be focused within the area of ABS or account-based selling on account planning with an ING, not account plans. And with us today, we have the CEO of ARPEDIO. Welcome, Ulrik. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here. Really looking forward to a little chat about my favorite topic.
I am too. Well, Ulrik, before we jump in, do you mind introducing yourself and talking a little bit about your background? You're coming to us from Copenhagen, right?
Indeed, I am here in Copenhagen, and winter has come here, so really looking forward to the seasonal highlights with Christmas and all coming to here. But the cycling-friendly city is really not cycling-friendly these days, with minus 10 degrees Celsius and a lot of snow, so no biking to work these days. But happy to be here, Angus, and thanks for inviting me. I really enjoy talking about account-based selling and account-based selling technology, which is the whole background of my career. So I'm the CEO and founder of ARPEDIO, and started the company based on a long career in management consulting, digital transformation programs, and sales, key account management on some global accounts, and always found that the CRM systems were very transactional and didn't provide the empowerment of the business professional that I was working alongside in sales and account management. So set out on a journey to make that happen, and we're fast forwarding. Forrester has recognized account-based selling technology as a new category, so definitely a hot topic at the moment.
Absolutely, and of course, digital transformation has been key to so many businesses over the past 2 decades, and within that, marketing operations and sales operations, and making sure the right technology is there to elevate how we engage our prospects and customers. So for our audience, can you tell us what is account-based selling and why sales leaders and CEOs should care and think about this type of technology?
Sure. So in essence, B2B sales, complex sales, or strategic account management has changed more in the past 2 years than it has in the last decade, according to some McKinsey studies and others. And it's really around the buyer journey that has changed so much in the B2B environment. It used to be very relationship based. You could grab out and go on a journey just selling as a professional salesman, but now you need to orchestrate your whole team internally, and that account collaboration is really the essence of making it happen, because you need to have tools in place to ensure that you know what good looks like, and that you're able to actually collaborate across distances, across different forums. You don't have deal rooms anymore, they are virtual, and generating a lot of this data really enables you to go on this very hyped at the moment AI journey, but you need to have a lot of data in place, and you need to know what it looks like. So all our clients, they're really looking into how can we maximize profit from our most valuable accounts? How can we service those? And that is really what our account-based tech platforms is all about. It's all about getting that visibility into what are the really good accounts doing, and how can we repeat that. So in essence, the goal of account-based selling is to identify, win, grow, and retain your strategic accounts. Get the most out of some company says that 20% of their revenue, 80% of their revenue come from 20% of their clients. That's within modifications. There's a lot of truth in that, of course. So account-based selling tech is around having the right processes, having the right value propositions, do the internal orchestration, making sure you get data right, ensuring the tech stack is glued together so the teams do not experience a lot of seller burden with a lot more tools. It has to be very simple, but yet advanced enough for the data. And then you need the leadership in place. Some of our clients talk about this as looking at account-based selling or strategic account management as a strategy instead of looking at it as a role. Does that make any sense in that format to look at it as a strategy instead of a role, Angus?
Yeah, and what you talked about, I think, is really interesting, and it's always surprising to me. I don't know why so many businesses and why so many of us just think this way, but to your point, almost every company that is somewhat established that I've worked with gets most of their revenue from just a small percentage of their accounts, that 80-20 Pareto rule that you just referenced. But that's not always where the focus is. And if you have your key accounts or your strategic accounts really locked in, then your growth, your profit, your retention is just so much easier. If your mix of acquisition versus expansion and growth is off, where your retention is impacting your growth rate, so that you have to put more effort into acquisition and expansion, your life becomes so much more difficult. And if you have very happy key or strategic account customers, they're going to refer more customers to you. They're going to be great case studies. So why is that? Why do so many companies don't? Why do they think about, I need to get more logos, I need to get more new customers, as opposed to, let's get our top customers really happy, and then the new customers will come?
I think it's an historical thing that the old way of selling was very much about getting the new logo, and then the organization did the delivery and the fulfillment of the orders and making sure that whatever we sold got delivered. But today the clients just expect so much interlink between what's being promised and how it's delivered, and it doesn't matter whether you're selling advanced manufactured goods or you're actually selling services or a SaaS solution. You still have to make sure that whatever promise you make in the beginning, it's delivered in the end. And that whole spectrum of the clients really, for a recent study showed that the amount of which you're willing to actually, in a business-to-business transaction, do online completely has grown all the way to $10 million. So big business deals are done by marketing support, by e-commerce platforms, and the traditional sale is not there. So I think that those that understands to focus on building those accounts and getting those relationships in place are really the winners in that sense.
So a key element of account-based selling is the subtle but important delineation or difference between creating an account plan and conducting an account planning process. Can you explain the difference and why that's important?
Yeah, so in a lot of organizations, they have been used to working with account plans, building up to the year. Also for the most important clients, they are spending a lot of time in deriving at a product in form of a Word document, a PowerPoint, or an Excel, with some plans for this account for this year. But then after it's produced, it's gone. It's becoming, this was the account plan. And then a year later, what did we do? And we build a new plan. It just like in finance, where you get into rolling forecasting, account planning as a live thing, where you follow up on the plans that change constantly in this environment, is becoming more and more the need in order to service those really important customers that you have. And that exercise, we call it, hey, you used to do account plans, now you have to do account planning. And in order to do something live, you have to have a technology platform to support you in this, and making sure that the internal collaboration around this ongoing account planning is in place. And that goes around things like, what are the targets? What are we currently prioritizing to work against on this client? But who's the relationships? Who knows who? Where do we need to focus for the next 2 weeks to build this account or to secure that it's not churning? And that is really, if you look at some of the very established enterprise companies, account management and strategic account management really is a discipline. And it is something that you focus on a lot, because you know that even when new sales are tough, you can still expand and you can still service clients where you have co-created some strategies and you're bound together for 3 to 5 years if you really build out on that. But also in a lot of SaaS companies where they need to grow, a lot of this growth now is seen from the PE firms and the VC firms that want to invest in these. They're looking at a metric around net revenue retention. So basically, how do you expand on your existing portfolio? And that really, again, requires that you're good at account-based selling and you're really good at understanding what your key account needs.
Yeah, and earlier we talked about the 80-20, where 20% of your customers can be 80% of your revenue. And I've heard these terms, key accounts or strategic accounts. I think it relates to revenue and strategic alignment. Can you explain a little bit more what a key account or a strategic account should be and how an organization should identify and manage them?
Yeah, usually they need to be identified out of not the revenue that we have right now on an account, but the potential. But not only the potential can be huge, and we will never have a potential, we never have a chance to win this client or explore this potential. So usually we go in and help clients do the segmentation. I mean, that's really an important thing, that you get that in place so you know what your service concepts is going to be. Is there a big portion of our clients where it's better to build out an e-commerce platform and make them self-service? Or do we have like a tier 1 clients that we really need to just build a long-term strategic relationship to and build out some co-creation value proposition that actually goes out to our customers to actually enable their strategies and understand those objectives. So there's a lot of things in getting that right, but the segmentation goes. I mean, it seems obvious, but there's a lot of effort going into this.
Got it. Well, let's get into some of the use cases, some of the specific use cases. You talked about account planning and relationship mapping and collaboration. Can you define that a little bit more and explain how this sales ops technology works and can be applied?
Yeah, definitely. So I think most of our viewers are probably familiar with account plans in the sense of there's some goals, there's some targets, there's some maybe even some key stakeholders with some needs that we have identified. But what the tech platforms in account-based selling is actually enabling is, what is the best practice around working with this? So what is the customer health? How do you actually rate that? And again, identifying some red flags so you can prioritize your efforts. Could be on the relationship side, it could be on understanding the customer or whatever it might be. And then diving into what would the best people, the best account managers do in a situation where they have these red flags. So actually building up the whole account coaching element of this. What we see is that then just this morning out of a call with a global client where they've spent a lot of money on sales training and actually getting everybody to nod to say, yes, this is the way we do B2B sales. This is the way we drive accounts. But when they get back to reality, meaning 3 days after the course and the email box and all the to-dos still piles up, it takes 2 to 3 months before I remember where was it that I should apply some of this training. and embedding these frameworks again in the CRM system so that you can actually work with those in a coherent way, getting a common language around how do we work with our most important accounts and opportunities and stakeholders.
Yeah, so elevating the sales motion and synthesizing and operationalizing those best practices, whether it's an internal best practice or even referencing some external sales methodologies. Do you incorporate any popular methodologies or qualification approaches?
Yeah, in the ARPEDIO tools we are methodology agnostic. So the key importance here is that you have a company sales best practice or account best practice that you actually embed somewhere that it's used every day. So that's become the common language. But with this, when you go from PowerPoints that sits on my drive or an Excel sheet somewhere or even paper versions of account plans, it becomes data. And what's really a key element at the moment is to make sure that you gather the right data and that you know what good looks like so that you can start to train an AI engine at some point. So bringing everything around what you do on your key accounts into your platforms enables you to collect data that will in time enable you to select and learn what did we do on these accounts that performs very well versus those that doesn't perform very well. And then we can start to train an AI engine. There's so much hype about the AI, but in strategic account management, you need to start the journey by knowing what good looks like and collecting the data, because otherwise you cannot train the AI engines to look at this.
That makes sense. And what are some of the key data points that you want to capture through these sales methodologies and best practices that you can then aggregate and get insights from?
It's very much around the behavioral data that you collect by saying, okay, what relationships in what states? So how many approvers and how many on our own team had good relationship with these people at a certain point in the account lifecycle, and how many was in favor of our solution? How was the cadence with these people? How do you actually gather that data in order for that to become something where you can do future analysis of your current situations on? Also, getting into what actions was taken. I mean, in classic salespeople, they don't want to register anything in the systems, right? But by helping them suggest what tasks and what activities would be prioritized on your key accounts, you also collect those activity points so that you can, in later time, see what activities did we do on the accounts that were successful and not successful. So what should we stop doing? That's equally important.
Right. And in your experience and some of the statistics you've seen, you have some observations as it relates to the different tiers of sales reps and their performance and what kind of impact you can have with systems and coaching. Can you share some of the insights you've gained and ARPEDIO's gained?
Yeah, it leads down to the to maximizing the customer lifetime value, right? So
Right.
Basically, when the team start to be efficient around being able to move from account to account and looking at the same type of picture of what an account looks like, then it's much easier for them to identify what tasks and what actions need to be taken around the red flags, and because they have a similar language and a similar methodology. I think a lot of our clients used to have account review meetings where we sit around the table, or online meetings for an hour talking about a client, just from the back of our mind, just saying, oh yeah, they are this, they are that. But by collecting and looking at them in the same way, looking at the same way of looking, okay, we are in red on these area, green on these area. This is kind of where the collaboration really comes into play, because I understand where to engage. Whereas in the old days, we walk out of a meeting like that, and I have one perception of what we were talking about. You have another. The marketing team thinks that it was not that important, maybe, and the product team again didn't get this notion of what's the status of the account. Do I actually need to prioritize this towards a lot of other accounts?
And so a key enablement of these types of productive discussions is the data, but also the visualization of that data, right? In terms of how the org chart looks and what the relationships are, what the opportunities are, the concept of heat maps. Can you describe how collaboratively with the stakeholders, not just the account manager, but the executive stakeholders, how do you look at these heat maps and, you know, action them or manage the relationship effectively?
It has to be very, very simple. We're operating with a red, green, yellow allocation on a big heat map, so that you can easily sort the most important accounts where you might have some red flags, so you can easily, from an executive point of view, support the accounts that might be in need, and then help prioritize the resources internally. Because again, in the enterprise companies, it's always a battle of the resources, and all of a sudden you have methodology in place to help prioritize and focus on those key accounts and the issues that we need to solve in order for making the key accounts a success. And that, instead of just spreading out our efforts much more thin. An example is what we do with a white space analysis. So basically, when the different accounts have mapped out their white space areas for the next 2 to 3 years on a strategic journey, they can start to link that into opportunities. But the product teams can also see where are the accounts where our products or our functional areas can support this even more. And that's where the focus and the priorities really becomes a driver internally in the company to where should the resources be allocated.
Got it. Well, from a trend standpoint, we've talked about the customer journey and how that's changed and the involvement of sales in that buyer's journey. Also, you've talked a little bit about AI. Are you seeing any other large or significant trends in the area of key account management or strategic account management? Are more enterprises investing in their existing accounts and managing those key relationships?
I think more and more companies get their eyes up for the need for this hybrid sales motion of actually understanding that you need to be able to service the clients in multiple different ways. But in order to do so, you need to understand the buyer journey as well as your own sales framework to support those buyer journeys. Right. So there's really a lot of there's a lot of things going on trend-wise in terms of understanding what hybrid sales means for companies out there at the moment, as well, of course, as the AI and ChatGPT capabilities that comes up and is very hyped at the moment, which is great for a number of things.
Well, Ulrik, really appreciate that ARPEDIO has engaged with Chief Outsiders. What were some of your motivations for wanting to work with fractional executive for go-to-market?
Yeah, sure. So I was in a situation where we are a growth company, so into a scale-up journey, and my dear CMO was on her way to maternity leave, and that was superb. We need good people to get some nice babies out there, but we couldn't live without a CMO for, in Scandinavia, that's almost a year, right? So we were on the hunt to see whether we would source one locally, hire one for an interim position, or And then came across Chief Outsiders and really saw the benefit of having one that could support the growth journey and bring some experience knowledge into my marketing team, but at the same time be a foothold for us in the US and bring some trends and stuff into the whole business. So we really appreciated the knowledge that was brought there and exemplified with the peer review session with all the CMOs of Chief Outsiders that we did in the middle of the assignment. That really gave me as a CEO and then the company a lot of good insights and working points to prioritize the growth journey. So it's enabled us to sit here and be ready for a Series A that we are currently raising.
Fantastic. Well, all the best there, and it was a fantastic experience working with ARPEDIO and getting a chance to visit you in Copenhagen. So as we wrap up today, and we think about the CEOs and the commercial and sales leaders out there who are planning for 2024 and figuring out their account plans and how to support their key and strategic accounts the most effectively they can. Any last recommendations or takeaways you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I think it must be that you don't go about account planning with PowerPoints and Excel sheet. It needs to be something where you take the first steps of preparing you for collecting the right data, looking into what good looks like so you can repeat it. And with that, I would also encourage to start the AI journey before your competitor. That might sound a little populistic, but you need to look at the first couple of use cases where you can use some AI to build your future key account management and strategic account management efforts.
Well, thank you, Ulrik, for taking some time to share your insights and best practices as it relates to account-based selling. It's been really valuable hearing from you, and wish you all the best with your winter and cycling opportunities.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully see you in Copenhagen again, and not in these conditions, and then take you out of on the new ARPEDIO tandem bike. So just acquired a company bike for symbolizing that we want to sit behind the clients when they steer their bike on the journey, and we will be the engine behind there. So cycling analogy from Copenhagen to you, but love to take you on a trip, Angus.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks so much, Ulrik, and thanks everybody for joining, and look forward to seeing you on the next CEO Growth Talks.